You guys, why PvP absolutely sucks. Of course, all of you already know this, but I'm going to show you the advantage of doing a defensive 4-gate compared to an offensive 4-gate. But at the same time, I just hate 4-gate. Really, I hate the fact that PvP is 4-gate. There is, however, you can do gate core robo build. So you get a gateway, a cybernetics core, a robo bay in that order, and then you get other stuff after that, and that can be 4-gate. But I say this with a big but, is you're not guaranteed to always beat the 4-gate depending on how that goes. I don't have a refined exact build for you yet. I'm going to put a link down in the description to an episode that Day9 put up on his huge awesomeness of awesome for Newbie Tuesday, I think it was. But anyways, he talks about the 4-gate, and he discusses sort of like how can you like figure out a way to counter the 4-gate. And one of the most important things about the 4-gate is a really well executed 4-gate will hit your base at 6 minutes. End of story. 6 minutes is when the units are at your ramp. A moderately well executed 4-gate, 6 minutes 20 seconds. So you got an extra 20 seconds. But that's very important, because no matter what race you are, you have to think, okay, 6 minutes are going to be hitting me. I have to build in such a way that I have the appropriate amount of defenses at 6 minutes game time. Game timer's right here. Please turn it on if you're really worried about trying to fight that 4-gate. So that is sort of the most basic thing that you want to do first. Obviously, I'm scouting, doing all my standard stuff, doing my 4-gate imperfectly. I don't know, I sort of hate it, so I don't like practice it enough, and then it's like, it's not I don't get it perfect. As you can see, a little late on transferring my probes to gas. So there we go, they're transferring. And yeah, so anyways, scouting around, checking that he's not taking the second gas. That's the biggest clue that he's going to go 4 warp gate, is when he's not taking that second gas. But of course, it's still too early to know that, because I'm now at 21 supply, so there we go. Awesome. I know this is getting close to the time that I would take a second gas, so I'm checking. I'm like, okay, I'm at 21 supply. This is about the time I would get a second gas. I don't know if I was getting one. Probably shouldn't have run away quite that early. I ran away a little early, considering that players might not get gas until 23. But either way, here we go. As you can see, I'm letting... Oh, well, his macro's not that great. This is the main reason why his 4 warp gate isn't going to be as powerful as it could be. I definitely make, like, I'm surprised how much losses I take. I actually take some losses because, you know, I was sort of thinking, I wasn't sure if I'd do an aggressive 4-gate or not, and I decided I'd throw my units down there at his base, see what he's doing, see if he was ready for a 4-gate, and if he wasn't, I was just going to do an aggressive 4-gate. Okay, so chrono boosting that, stopping your worker production obviously at 20, you know, and then, yeah, so, and I think one of my scouts died, I don't know, but either way, I could actually build one more though. Probably should have built one more, but it's hard to say if one died or not. But the problem is now I'm sending this one out to build proxy pylons, so, but either way, you can see his macro is a little bit behind, so that's why his warp gate's actually going to be delayed, his 4 warp gate push. So there we go, you can see his 4 gates out, you can see I've got my 4th gates coming along the way, building rounds of building some units, blah, and yeah, he does his really... I'm surprised he doesn't build any units before Gateway Tech is done. I've never seen it done like that before, so obviously there are variations on the 4-gate build. I still think better than his. Well, obviously, because he didn't build nuffers, but, so yeah. Oops, I forgot to hide that, sorry guys. So what's going to happen here if we go to my cam? Oops, 1C. Okay, I'm just about to build that, and then I see his units come in, cancel that, and run away. And I send all of my units fleeing back to my base. The only problem is stalkers are pretty fast. He does catch up to that zealot. So if we look at units lost there, okay, not doing too bad at this point. If we look at my view, okay, warping some units on the high ground. I know I'm just going to do defense 4-gate now because he's attacking. And yeah, losing that zealot, not going to be cool. Really sucks. Those stalkers get off less shots from the high ground than I thought. And here's my biggest mistake right here, is I do not actually have enough zealots. Zealots do so much damage when they get in on your units. I'm doing absolutely no micro, and his zealots are way too powerful. So as you can see, I get a huge deficit here. By the time this engagement's over, I'm 300 resources behind. You know, I was even more behind at one point, so definitely got some zealots there. Trying to use some okay micro. My micro's not the best, but basically, as you can see, once I realized I needed zealots, I got some more zealots, and also low on gas. One thing you're going to notice quite interesting is just keep an eye on that actually, I'll just bring up the production tab. Look at this. I'm building a probe, and I've got another one queued up, and I'm building gas. This is the advantage of playing the defensive 4-gate, is you get such a small edge over. Let's bring up this fancy APM tab, even though it's, oh, sorry guys, it hides most battle. So let's do this. Okay, there we go. We can now watch the APM as this battle ensues. As you can see, I am the red player. I'm trying to do a little bit of micro, but yeah. Okay, so as I was saying before, because I'm doing the defensive 4 warp gate, I feel like as if they had the advantage. I'm building a sentry now because I know I've spent that extra money on those probes, on that assimilator instead. If we look at the income tab, he's still 20 workers, which means he built one extra, but not a big deal because he brought it out with him to build pylons. I'm now at 23. Look at the income tab, and you will see that after a while, it's, okay, let's go, there we go. We'll bring this up. There we go, income. Sorry that it's so huge, but that's just how Blizzard made it. I'll try and watch, keep the battle in sight. As you can see, force fielding that, running back so his stalkers can't get attacked, but he micros back as well to my zealots up to where they can get attacked. Sucks for me. Yeah, if we look at the units lost, so very, very even. And remember, I started out 300 units lost behind, so now I've closed that gap completely. Actually, I started, yeah, 350 units behind after the first bout, so I've definitely closed that. As you can see, Defender gets a small advantage, and 300 minerals. Well, you think 75 for this assimilator, and then, like, if we look at the probes here, I built an extra 4 probes. That's another 200, so 275, so that 300 right there paid for itself. And of course, using that force field just by time. And then also notice, okay, let's close that, that looks dumb. Also notice the way here that I'm putting my units on hold position. We'll have to bring this back up to be able to show you guys. Oh yeah, I forgot that shows the game time. Either way, sorry. As you can see, hold position is on. I've got them all on hold position. Don't have any energy left for force field, sadly. And the only downside of being on hold position is these zealots are not able to attack. I only have 2 zealots, so it's not a huge deal, but it definitely sucks. Warping in another sentry for force field again because I felt that we were getting a little too close. You know, I wasn't sure if he could bust up at that moment, so he had a lot of units. Okay, there we go, getting a nice spread there for a good concave. Not all my zealots are in the front. Sucks that that happens, but whatever. Now let's look at that income tab again. 660 to 760. So you can see clearly that basically at all times I'm almost always 100 minerals ahead, and really importantly 100 gas ahead as well, or 120 even. So as you can see, I'm collecting that extra 100 minerals, extra 100 gas, and he's just not able to break me. And so I'm throwing down my Robo Bay right away now. I didn't know the few, and I knew he was doing quite all in. Like, at this point, he'd been putting on so much pressure, and I'd been barely holding off that I know that he'd been just completely all in, all in, all in. I was actually surprised how long he managed to keep pushing him. But as you can see, he's getting out of Twilight Council now, but no other tech. And now he's getting that second assimilator, which means that I'll be ahead in tech because I've been harvesting gas for that much longer. Even if I have had to spend a lot of it on those 3, or actually I think I built 5 sentries, 4 or 5 sentries. So now he didn't attack me, so now I'm poking out very timidly, and I'm going to expand because I can always cancel this, but I really want to expand right now because I'm pretty comfortable in saying that he's not going, that he's completely redid. He's like, no, I can't break you, I can't win off of one base, so I'm going to retreat now. So now you can see I'm just scouting around. Completely missed this one. Like, do not ever see it. I don't know if I can get vision of it, like, once this spawns in or not, but yeah, completely don't see it. Feel like a total noob later when I do find it, because there's like, it's like, how did these stalkers just get in my base? Yeah, so there we go. Getting out that expansion, getting out an observer right now. I decided to skip the immortals just because of my money. It's been pretty low. I don't feel like immortals can be really good. It might have been a good idea to get one, but just, yeah. So there we go. The stalkers come in, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I don't even realize the stalker's here until the game tells me, because on the mini-map you just can't see it at this point. So I only send part of my army up there in case he attacks my front at the same time, which he's actually not doing. So if we look at the production tab, you can see my Nexus definitely ahead of his. Not as much as I would have liked, but it's definitely ahead, so that helps. But if we look at the income tab, I've got this huge lead. He did not build, wow, I cannot believe that he has not built more workers. Very big mistake on his part, not having that macro, letting it slip way too much. So there we go. Now I've got my Robo away. I can soon get Colossi, which will just completely rape as long as I have more Colossi than him. And he doesn't have, like, I don't know if Phoenixes would do it or what, a good air counter. Now I'm like, finally, I'm like, yeah, it's there. Am I gonna, it's there. There we go. No. Okay, so anyways, guys, basically what I wanted to show you was the advantage of using that defensive 4-gate, how to respond to it, how to get yourself out. I really don't like doing 4-gate versus PvP, you know, and just always 4-gating, but until I can definitively tell you something better, you know, I'm just going to show defensive 4-gate, how it works. The other thing that I want to show you as well is, actually no, I'm not going to show you, I'm just going to let this game go on in the background, and I'm going to talk about it, so you guys can sort of watch what's going on. Look at this huge gap in harvesters. Man, my income's not even that much higher than his. What am I doing wrong? It's because I've got so many on gas, that's why. I've got, yeah, he doesn't have any on gas yet. That's why the mins are so close. Freaking gas collection is so slow. Anyways, so now I'm just going to quickly touch on with the other races against 4-gate. What I want to say is, just like, when you're thinking about defending against 4-gate, obviously you can look into static defense. Static defense is something you can always look into. As a Zerg player, that's probably what you have. From what I've seen of other people talking about the 4-gate when they're Zerg players, it sounds like as if it's pretty much 2 spine crawlers minimum, preferable, but there's also a lot of variations you can throw in there. You can get extra queens out so that you can transfuse your spine crawlers instead of getting some of those Zerglings or roaches out. And one of the important things, obviously, roaches. So when you're building a build order for, or when you're looking at a strategy for beating the 4 as the Zerg player, just keep in mind that 6 minutes. You want your spine crawlers to be done at 6 minutes. You want a batch of roaches to be popping at 6 minutes, because pretty much guarantee you're probably going to be using roaches to fight off a 6-gate, 4-gate push. So 6 minutes, you have your gate, you have your roaches, and your spine crawlers finished at 6 minutes. You might have them finished like 10 seconds earlier just to be safe, but really you don't want to have them finished too early, because that means you wasted money earlier on them. So as you can see, I don't want to engage that army, so I'm backing out. Just force fielding so he can't attack me. Because I know that I'm ahead, and I know that I want to keep that advantage. I don't want to give him any advantage by throwing army in there uselessly. And I know with my Colossi coming out, once I have 2 or 3 Colossi, he's dead. Okay, moving away from this game again and back into the 4-gate thing. Now, if we're looking at Protoss, I already said that you can do the gate cyber Robo build, and the link for day 9, he's working on an anti-4-gate build that is Protoss. So that's what he does below, and he also just gives you some good advice. And then the other thing is, for Terran players, what I would just suggest is 3 racks with a bunker. Like, 3 racks is already quite powerful against a Protoss player. Throw a bunker in there, and you basically shut down that 4-gate. So, you know, you do the 3 with the bunker. Yeah. As you can see, those Colossi just make the battle completely imbalanced in my favor, since I had an observer to kill his DPs. But yeah, so for the Terran player, that's what I would suggest is, you know, if you're doing 3 racks anyways, just throw up a bunker at the front of your base. Like, really, it's so hard to break. The only thing though is you got to be really good on your macro, make sure you have enough units, and make sure that you got to be careful, because if you just throw a bunker there and they do a run by, they can do a lot of damage still. So you want to do that bunker, but you want to be careful that they're not running by. Some players will opt to go all marine against 4-gate, but I prefer to suggest doing mostly Marauders, and then getting out Marines as your gas limited. So, you know, but once again, it's just about thinking about that 6-minute timing. You want your bunker to be ready by 6 minutes, and you want to have your units out. And definitely, I would suggest like 2 Marauders at the bare minimum, but probably like even 4 Marauders would be really good if you could get 4 Marauders out by that time, and then the rest Marines. I think that's probably going to be enough to hold it off of the bunker. I'm a little torn on suggesting putting Marauders in the bunker just because the Marines are very fragile but do pretty decent damage. So if you put the Marines in the bunker, you're getting the most value for the Marines, but the problem is then your Marauders, they are technically still vulnerable to being hit. But the fact is you can only fit, you know, a Marauder takes up 2 slots in the bunker. So I'd probably suggest putting, you know, all 4 Marines in the bunker, but some people like to put 1 Marauder and 2 Marines. So there we go. Hopefully that's educational about the Forgate, because I know someone definitely was asking about that. Hopefully it's educational. And I gave you an option for Terran, I gave you a couple options for Zerg to try and work out, even though I don't play Zerg. So work that out on your own. And obviously for Protoss, you can either just Forgate defensively, or you can look into the Robo build. Okay, enjoy.